UFC Vegas 48, Walker versus Hill. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Guys, smash that like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, turn those post notifications on, and share the video as well. I want to jump right into these predictions. I am pretty pumped for this card. Unfortunately, did lose the original main event, which was Rafael dos Anjos and Rafael Fiziev. That'll be on the 272 pay-per-view. Let's start. Our first fight of the night, Jonathan Pearce versus Christian Rodriguez. Rodriguez takes this fight on less than 1 week's notice. I got to respect the kid for jumping in. Naturally fights more so down at 135. At least that's what he did on the Contender Series. Miss weight there. He's going to be at a size differential here, not positively towards him. He's smaller than Jonathan Pearce. I am on the Pearce side. The pick is going to be Pearce. Looking at the matchup, there's things to like about Christian Rodriguez. I mean, he's a young kid who has, I think, a pretty solid stand-up game. He moves well, a bit fast. I would say he has pretty quick, straight punches, good kicks. Takedown defense was shown on that Contender Series fight. Now, you put him opposite Jonathan Pearce, who's 11-4 as a pro, gone through the grinder, has had tough fights, lost his UFC debut on short notice against Joe Lozon. I feel like this is Jonathan Pearce's fight. Striking's going to be a factor. I expect him to press inside with this kind of chaotic stand-up style, look towards takedowns against the cage, and I still see him out-muscling Christian Rodriguez, getting him to the floor, and I think Jonathan Pearce can get the submission here. Now, you do see Rodriguez's recent fight, it says weighed in at 150, did, jump up a weight class for that regional scene matchup, which was about just 4 weeks ago. But here, I think the size difference is going to be a legit factor. He's fighting a solid size featherweight with some good experience at this point. Jonathan Pearce just beat Omar Morales. That is a huge win to have, and I feel like Christian Rodriguez is getting finished too. I like submission in the second round for Pearce. I'm also seeing potentially a ground and pound TKO. I see Pearce landing takedowns. I see him getting the win. Jonathan Pearce win inside the distance here. Now, I don't believe the odds have been officially released for this matchup. It doesn't seem like they have, but I will check best fight odds just to give us our best chance. But this fight has one line. We have one line officially. Let's go. One line is here. About minus 215 for Pearce, best value, plus 170 Rodriguez. Another book, though, has it at minus 380. Expect the minus 300 range for Jonathan Pearce as a favorite, and expect him to beat Christian Rodriguez fairly handily here. Good first fight of the night. The next one. This one gets me excited. It's Gabriel Benítez and David Onama. I feel like Onama's a pretty damn good prospect, but now they throw him Mowgli Benítez, who has so much experience and is actually a difficult stylistic matchup striking. I'm picking Benítez to win this fight. I think his stand-up game is a serious problem for the less experienced Onama. Benítez is a southpaw. He's known for his kicks. This guy, Javier Mendez, says has the heaviest kicks that he has ever felt on the pads. I've said that every time I've broken down a Gabriel Benítez fight, and it's a real factor. I expect him to rip the body, rip the legs, and put up a good scrap here against Onama. Onama himself is a pretty technical striker, comfortable out of both stances, and he's really athletic too. He has a pretty good athletic base. His athleticism is a prominent factor, while I feel like he's able to develop at a quick rate, and I guess the UFC's maybe feeling some confidence in this kid to match him up against Benítez here. I do think Onama has a bright future, but I think it's too much too soon. Another thing that I do like, Onama on the inside, powerful hooks and fast ones. On the outside, Benítez, though, works good straight punches. I expect a lot of kicks from him. I think this fight majority is going to be standing. I think Benítez wins a hard-fought decision over David Onama, but I still think the kid has a bright future in the UFC. Now, looking at the lines here for this matchup, let's see. Onama is the favorite, about minus 130, best value. Benítez plus 145. It depends where you go, though. Sometimes, depending on the bookie, you're going to find it even upwards of minus 190 towards David Onama. I think Benítez is being slept on 100%. He's an OG vet. He is not washed by any means. He just lost the fight to Billy Q. Ultimately, Billy Q's a pretty high-level guy in the featherweight division. This is a big step down as far as levels go. Benítez, win by decision. I expect him to bounce back here. Underdog. Let's keep on running. Next fight of the night. Jessica Rose Clark versus Stephanie Egger. Ladies going after it here. It could be a close one for sure. I'm definitely going to lean the side of Jessica Rose Clark. I am picking her. I think experience is a real factor. 11-6 versus 6-2. Egger brings a judo base. Actually beat Ronda Rousey one time in judo. I believe they're 1-1 against each other in judo. So just something interesting to note. Egger's a pretty upright striker. Does put decent pressure on her opponents. Granted, hasn't fought, at the highest of levels for too long. Rose Clark has been in there with Jessica Eyes of the World. I believe Penny Kianzad was also a loss recently for Jessica Rose Clark. It certainly was. Beat Jocelyn Edwards in the last fight. Maybe a little bit too competitive for my liking, but I still think Rose Clark is superior to Stephanie Egger here. Egger's not an easy out, though. I do think she's going to be live as an underdog. If you look at Clark, she has a pretty decent kickboxing game, but does like to mix in the wrestling and has pretty solid pressure from the top position. Egger, decent straight punching, taller girl, a little bit taller than Jessica Rose Clark, but nothing outstanding that is like, oh, I'm on the Egger side. I think Rose Clark wins a hard-fought decision. It's women's MMA and definitely could shift the other way, and Egger could get it done. Looking at the lines for this one, Stephanie Egger is a plus 165 underdog. Jessica Rose Clark, minus 180 in the favorite spot. I understand why it's this wide because UFC experience, MMA experience strongly leans Jessica Rose Clark, but I do think Egger has a possibility to win a decision here. It's going to be competitive. I'm looking forward to watching this matchup, but I will be picking the Jessica Rose Clark side here, and I dig the face tattoos on her. She's a savage with that look. Next fight, Diana Belbiţă and Gloria Di Paula. Some good ladies fights on this card. This is a fun matchup. And I'm super interested to see how Di Paula can bounce back. But I don't think she does. I don't think she wins. I think Diana Belbiţă is going to beat Gloria Di Paula, bringing her to 0-3 in the UFC. Di Paula looked good against Pauline Macias on that Contender Series fight. They jumped her into the UFC. I think they rushed her there. 5-4 record. Doesn't have a lot of experience. You look at Belbiţă, 14-6. She's been around for a very long time. I think that the warrior princess Diana Belbiţă is going to put some violence on Di Paula. I think we're going to have an impressive striking match, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun to watch. You look at Belbiţă, pretty good pressure, Muay Thai style. She'll scrap inside. She has powerful hooks, but she can get a little bit crazy. I will note that. Di Paula on the opposite side is pretty technical with her kickboxing. Nice low kicks, fast hands. Definitely has good speed overall with her feet. She is a little bit susceptible to takedowns with better grapplers. Don't know if we'll see that wrinkle from Belbiţă here. I think we're looking at a good striking matchup. I think it is competitive. I think in the clinch, Belbiţă may have an advantage, and I do expect her to potentially exploit that. Slight size edge towards Belbiţă, not much. I got to go for the experienced fighter, though. I think Diana Belbiţă win by a decision over Gloria Di Paula. Looking at the odds for this one, they're close. They're pick'ems. Belbiţă, the slightest of favorites, minus 102, but you'll really find it at minus 110 each. Di Paula can be found at plus 100 over at Unibet. Odds will definitely shift a bit, but I expect them to stay moderately competitive all week long. It's a pick'ems fight, and I am on the Diana Belbiţă side. Let's see if Gloria Di Paula can prove me wrong. I'm still high on her. I think she has a bright potential. Both girls in their mid-20s. They have futures in this sport. Just the experience strongly favoring Belbiţă. It's very hard for me to pick against her. I pick Belbiţă for the win by a decision here. The next fight of the night, Mario Bautista and Khalid Taha. This is a fun bantamweight fight. I expect it to be a bit of a scrap. I'm on the Bautista side. Did take a pretty bad loss. It was to Trevin Jones in the last one. He was knocked out. But prior to that, 2 years ago, did beat Miles Johns. He was the first man to take Johns out. Khalid Taha, last one he lost to Sergey Morozov, who just got badly knocked out by Andrade last week. Looking at this fight, I'm picking Mario Bautista to win. I think he's going to be a problem on the feet. He's a pretty scrappy striker who works off of a solid jab. Little bit taller, right? Has that height advantage over Khalid Taha. As far as the reach goes, it's identical, but I would kind of lean towards it being longer arm length-wise, which is a stat I've always said I want to see towards the Mario Bautista side. Don't think it's a serious factor, though. I do expect Bautista to try to work his way inside, land hooks from close. Could even see them clinching up, maybe some grappling exchanges. Taha's not a bad fighter, though, by any means. He's a skilled striker who's explosive and is a knockout puncher. He's a physically strong guy, and he also has a pretty dangerous overhand from close range. Grappling is similar. I think you're going to see higher volume and output on the Bautista side. I think he's going to be gritty, and he's going to push Taha to the limits here. I'm going win, decision, Bautista. Looking at the lines for this fight, Bautista, where is he at? He's minus 120. Khalid Taha, plus 111, best value. It's nearly a pick'ems fight. I'm on the Mario Bautista side. I just can't jump on the Taha train here, man. I think Bautista is going to beat him, but overall, it could be a competitive fight, certainly. And I'm expecting it to go the full 3, and I do think it's going to be a pretty entertaining one as well. The next fight of the night, Skelly is back. He takes on Mark Striegl. Striegl got annihilated in his UFC debut against Said Nurmagomedov. I believe it was 50 seconds or less. He was TKO'd. Granted, Nurmagomedov looking like a monster, choking out Cody Stamann in the last one. Skelly, you look, it was 2 years and 4 months ago. He beat Jordan Griffin on a decision. Skelly, to me, is like Darren Elkins light. He's an awkward guy, has a little bit better of a submission game, but just like a weird style to him. I'm going to pick Skelly to win here. I think he can beat Mark Striegl. He is the naturally bigger fighter. He fights at 145 pounds on the regular. Striegl moving up to 145 here, 5'11" to 5'8". Skelly's lanky. Even though the reach is only 3.5 inches advantage-wise, he's got some long limbs. You look at the arms, they're long. And I think that's going to help him with his submissions. He has some dangerous chokes, has submission wins in the past. I mean, both these guys have great records, 18-3 on both sides. Skelly's activity has been super low, which I guess could be one concern. Striegl, though, not fighting in 1 year and 3 months. Prior to that, it was 2 years and 7 months. I don't think ring rust on either side will be a substantial problem. I don't think that if there is ring rust, one man will be excluded from it. I think they could both potentially have it. I have to lean the Skelly side. Now, I will say, Mark Striegl has some things to like. He's a southpaw. He's explosive. His stand-up game is quality. He brings some heavy kicks. He likes to attack with low kicks. Thing is, he's a little bit susceptible to takedowns and makes mistakes in the grappling. Also has decent offensive wrestling. I think he could get caught something with his neck potentially by Skelly, who's pretty tricky with his submissions. Does control positionally very well on the ground. Can wear on you. Will look to get your back. Will look to choke you out. And he is willing to bang. Skelly willing to bang. Sometimes can throw the opponents off. Let them lock something up. There was a crazy fight. This is so many years back. I remember Skelly and his opponent just ran at each other and he got a submission like in the first 15 seconds, years and years back. Skelly is still pretty decent unless somehow he's shot, in those 2 years he's been off. I don't think he will be. I think Skelly should submit Mark Striegl in the second round. I'm going Skelly for the win. Now, looking at the lines, they favor Skelly, of course. He's sitting at a minus 186 favorite. Striegl around plus 186, depending where you go. I like the Skelly side. Proven UFC veteran over the tough Mark Striegl, who has fought at a high level over and won championship. Been submitted before. I think Skelly submits him as well. Skelly for the W. Next fight of the night, the featured prelim. Jesse Strader versus Chad Anheliger. Anheliger had that huge win against Muan Gafarov on the Contender Series, a fight that nobody expected him to win. He was like a plus 300-ish underdog. He wins a split. Strader got killed against Montel Jackson in his UFC debut. Definitely a lot more of a fair matchup here. I'm picking the Anheliger side. It's crazy to see him as a huge underdog on the Contender Series, and now he's a big favorite in this spot against Jesse Strader. Let's note this. Anheliger is a pretty decent striker who works a jab. He actually uses it pretty well and keeps his opponents at bay. For a guy with only a 64-inch reach, he works a jab pretty nicely. Strong in the tie clinch. The gas tank is solid, and he's persistent, resilient. You take him down, he's going to look to get back up. He's not just going to let you wear on him. I mean, beating Gafarov, to me, is a pretty impressive win. The stand-up game of Anheliger is decent. It's not like he has any crazy tools where he's going to, have that crazy Francis KO power or, he's an absolutely amazing wrestler. He's a gritty fighter who has an incredible will to win. Jesse Strader was destroyed in his last fight against Montel Jackson, and he only has 7 pro bouts. He's 5-2. I don't necessarily know if he's UFC caliber. You look at his stance, he's very square. The head is on the center line. I see Anheliger lighting him up with punches. Even though there's a reach edge towards Strader, I don't really feel he'll use it. I think Anheliger might be able to land takedowns as well. I think we're going to see Strader break at some point. I'm liking stoppage TKO around the third for Anheliger here. I expect him to get the win and start his UFC career off right at 35 years of age. So he's definitely ecstatic to be in the UFC now this long. I mean, 11-5. He's got a good amount of pro experience. He's going to beat Jesse Strader here, and I do expect him to do so by a TKO. I'm thinking third round. Looking at the lines here, of course, Anheliger favorite, right? Minus 245. Strader plus 230. I think it's because the bookies are kind of seeing what I'm seeing. I don't think Strader is UFC level necessarily, at least not yet. Still only 30 years of age, but he's 30 years of age. Really, it's now or never. We'll see if he proves me wrong here, but I am on the Chad Anheliger side. I expect him to win. I wish the lines were a bit closer, but Anheliger for the W here on this featured prelim. Now, we jump to the main card. If you guys have not yet, make sure to smash that like button. If you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. And let's talk the first fight on the main card. It's Parker Porter versus Alan Baudot. This is a fun heavyweight fight. And I'll be honest with you, I'm on the Parker Porter side all day here. I think Baudot can be broken. I will say this, Baudot has like pretty decent stand-up skills. He's got a nice 1-2. He brings a pressure striking style. He's fast and he's dangerous, especially in that first round. Nearly knocked out Rodrigo Nascimento, and then he got stopped in the second, started fatiguing a bit. I feel like on the opposite side, Parker Porter is going to be a problem. He's got pretty decent straight punches. He'll work a 1-2. He'll put pressure forward and try to find a way inside. He'll use those 1-2s to close the distance. Heavy low kicks. The man's legs are absolutely ginormous. If he gets on top of you as big as he is, it's going to be extremely hard for you to shake this man off. Not a tall heavyweight, only 6 feet. He's at a disadvantage with the height and the reach, but strength is Parker Porter. I think just grittiness is Parker Porter. I think proven will to win is Parker Porter. I see him stopping Alan Baudot at some point, breaking him down. I mean, I like Baudet's skill set. I feel like he has a pretty slick combination that he does. It's a jab to the body, then he'll work an overhand similar to what Jake Paul did to Tyron Woodley. Not to note that. I know some of you might hate that reference, but it is a realistic reference to what Alan Baudot tries to do. Don't think that necessarily works on Porter here. I expect Porter to clinch up with him. If there is striking, I think it does slightly favor Baudot, but I think Porter will find a way to get this on the floor, and he'll be scrappy striking, and he'll land strikes that Baudot doesn't necessarily see as threats, because Porter is just that type of fighter. He's pressing you. He's pressing you. He's not stopping. He's not stopping. He's going to be hard to keep off of him. I think Parker Porter, TKO. I'm thinking round 2 or 3 with the ground and pound. I think Baudot gasses in that second round, starts to break. Porter takes over, gets himself a finish. Now, the lines favor Parker Porter. Minus 240, Baudot plus 215. I am on the Parker Porter side, the favorite for the win, and I think he gets a stoppage here in the second or third with ground and pound. Fun heavyweight fight to start off the main card. This here is knockout of the year candidates all day long on both sides. I mean, these guys are heavy hitters. Buckley was badly knocked out by Alessio Di Chirico after he had that insane Impa Kasangarai knockout of the year. Abdul Razak Alhassan, the next fight, knocks Di Chirico out with one-shot head kick. That was his win to snap that 3-fight losing streak. Joaquin Buckley then knocks out Antonio Arroyo in the last one, and now they match these two up. I think it's a good idea to match these two up. It's an interesting matchup because both men known for the knockout, different styles of stand-up. Buckley, southpaw, good amount of movement to try to explode inside. He definitely hits with a lot of pop. He's going to look for hooks. He has a big overhand, and he is a pretty physically strong fighter. He moves well. I'd say he's pretty fast. On the opposite side, Alhassan, explosive as they come, serious KO power, but had that just rut 3-fight losing streak. Now, the Malhoun loss doesn't look too bad. The Chaos Williams fight, he got caught with one big punch. Munir Lazez, not a bad stand-up fighter. If Razak Alhassan can find the chin, he can do serious damage. The question is, can he find that chin here against Joaquin Buckley? Of course, you can see, I've had a hard time deciphering between these two. I really sat down on it, and I just have this feeling that Abdul Razak Alhassan will find the button of Joaquin Buckley. It's very much a question mark fight. I think it's a true pick'ems matchup with two knockout artists here. Whoever lands the clean strike first could definitely pull it off. I think Abdul Razak Alhassan ends up knocking out Joaquin Buckley. I definitely could see it going the opposite way, but I'm going the Alhassan side, man. I think the stand-up is not necessarily better, but I think he can just find the dome better. I think that Buckley will do more, potentially putting himself out of position, and Razak Alhassan can land that death counter. I think the 3-fight losing streak, it's like gave us like an y'all must have forgot type thing for Abdul Razak Alhassan. If you stand with him, you are in danger. Even though he's lost bouts, he's been knocked out, to chaos, this is a very different matchup. Of course, Buckley might touch him early, put him unconscious, but at 185, I expect Razak Alhassan to have the durability, the explosiveness, and find the chin of Joaquin Buckley. I'm going with Alhassan, win by KO. Now, looking at the lines, Alhassan is an underdog, plus 130. Buckley, the minus 138 favorite. It's a pick'ems fight. The lines aren't pick'ems, but it's a pick'ems fight. I'm going Abdul Razak Alhassan to knock out Joaquin Buckley. The next fight is our featured bout of the night. Jim Miller fights Nikolas Motta, giving the OG a debuting guy. That's crazy. The guy with the most fights in the UFC, 38, Jim Miller, fights a guy making his debut. I don't want to say it's disrespect, but I guess it kind of is in a sense, because Jim Miller's just being used a little bit as that gatekeeper. But don't sleep on Jim Miller. I'm certainly not sleeping on Jim Miller. He's got a lot more pro experience. He's a proven vet. I'm going Jim Miller to win here. If he can land the takedown on the dynamite puncher Nikolas Motta, who's hell to deal with. He has like a modified Thai style. He actually moves extremely well and has serious knockout power in the hands and deadly high kicks. But can he stop Jim Miller's takedown? Can he knock Jim Miller out? Jim Miller was knocked out by Dan Hooker with a big knee, but it's not like Jim Miller has ever been a guy that we've questioned the chin. He took bombs from Dustin Poirier. He's gone distance in the majority of his losses, especially as of recent. I feel like Jim Miller is also being underrated on the stand-up. He's a southpaw who has a dynamite left hand. He's definitely gotten a lot better with it. When he sneaks it on you, he can put you out. His last fight, the opponent got put to sleep by Jim Miller, Eric Gonzalez. Miller not known for the finish by knockout. He's known for his submission game. I don't suggest he's going to knock out Nikolas Motta here. I think that Jim Miller is going to take what's thrown at him from Motta, and he's going to work towards getting this fight to the floor. And if Jim Miller can get this fight where he's comfortable, that's when he's going to start to take over. I can see Jim Miller edging out a decision. I can even see Jim Miller getting a submission in the second or third round here. I'm on the Jim Miller side. Upset win. I think he's going to beat Nikolas Motta. You cannot sleep on the OGs like this. I don't think it's over for Jim Miller. He said his goal is to fight at UFC 300. Getting this win here would keep him on that path to be on the UFC roster by that point, because that's a little bit of a ways away for the legendary Jim Miller. Plus 158, about best value for Miller, more so plus 155. Motta minus 165. I'm taking Jim Miller, but there's definitely a possibility if Motta really is that legit with the power, he could knock Miller out. But I'm going proven toughness. I think Miller takes his best shots. I think he finds a way to get the fight to the floor. And I think Jim Miller gets the win, potentially submission or decision. Upset for the longtime vet, Jim Miller here. The co-main event of the evening, Kyle Daukaus versus Jamie Pickett. I think this is a bit of a mismatch. I think Kyle Daukaus is going to run over Jamie Pickett. I got to respect Pickett. He takes this fight against Kyle, who doesn't have the respect on his name that he deserves. Yeah, the Kevin Holland fight was unfortunate, and he ends up getting a no contest, but he was winning that fight up until the headbutt that then he was able to get the finish from. Kevin Holland did tap. Granted, that fight's a no contest. It is what it is. Kyle Daukaus is not a bad fighter. He's rangy. He fights out of the southpaw stance. His opponent is a rangy striker, though. But I don't think Pickett does anything that amazing. Works decent against the cage. I don't see him as a very good wrestler. I think Daukaus has the wrestling edge, and I think he has the jiu-jitsu edge. Standing up, I even lean Daukaus with the hands. I think he's quicker. He has a bit more power. I wouldn't be shocked if Daukaus somehow found the chin and knocked Jamie Pickett out. But I'm expecting a submission, maybe club and sub, maybe Daukaus just taking him down and easily locking something up. Of course, it's not going to be that easy. Pickett will be there to fight, but Kyle Daukaus is getting the victory with no doubt in my mind here. I'm extremely confident in him. I like Kyle Daukaus. I'm thinking second round submission. I think he's got a good skill set, man. Very good positional control. Looks for submissions. When he's on top, he's going to wear on you, and I think he'll finish off Jamie Pickett here. Now, looking at the odds for this one, Daukaus about a minus 208, minus 205 favorite. Pickett looking around nearly plus 200, but more so you'll find him in that, plus 185, plus 170 range. I like Kyle Daukaus, the favorite here. I expect him to win. I think he's going to get a submission on Jamie Pickett. Daukaus for the victory in this matchup. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't, smash that like button and subscribe if you are new. It's Johnny Walker versus Jamahal Hill. What a fun fight in the light heavyweight division. These guys are not top, but in that top 15. Could be in the conversation with some wins. Johnny Walker's side had the hype. That hype train has crashed a bit, but he's still a viable top contender, outside of, that top 8, right? He's still in the rankings. He's still going to be a name worth mentioning. He's getting a main event slot. Jamahal Hill has a huge opportunity here to fight Johnny Walker. I have to note this before I give you the pick. Johnny Walker is being slept on by the bookies huge here. He's a huge underdog against Jamahal Hill. That surprises me a bit. He just went 5 rounds with Thiago Santos. This guy was supposed to be the next big thing. The bookies changed their minds fast. I am picking Jamahal Hill, though. You look at Jamahal Hill's game, more patience with the striking, but he's also more effective at landing his shots. He's a southpaw. He's pretty fast with his hands, will work his way inside. He uses that lead hand fairly well as a rangefinder. Massive left hook from that southpaw stance, left straight from the southpaw stance, and then he follows it with a massive right hook that can stun any of the top guys. Also attacks the body. I love the way he mixes the levels. His kicking is pretty solid as well. Johnny Walker not bringing a wrestling threat to this matchup. He switched to SBG Ireland to change up his game, and we see a tamed Johnny Walker. I don't know if that was necessarily the best move for him because Johnny Walker made his way to the top with chaos. Now it's controlled. He went 5 rounds with Thiago Santos in a fight nobody thought was going distance. I feel like in this spot, he'll know he has to tack a little bit more. The thing is, there's a clear level difference in the technical boxing, and the speed favors Hill. You look at Johnny Walker, I don't think he does anything that great. He's just an athletic specimen. He throws crazy attacks. He's a freak. He's a big light heavyweight. He's 6'6". He's jacked. He has an 82-inch reach. He's a strong guy. But you can find his chin and you can hurt him. Ryan Spann nearly had him out of there. That was the most recent win for him. He did get it done. You look at the Thiago Santos fight, goes distance, loses to Santos clearly on the scorecards. Jamahal Hill here is going to be an extremely difficult fight. If Walker sits back and lets Hill pick him apart, could be looking at 5 rounds of work. I don't suggest that happens, though. I think Walker is going to look for it. He's not going to be as crazy as he used to. That's going to allow Jamahal Hill to get a good amount of shots off. I think Hill sets up some great counters. I think Jamahal Hill is going to knock Johnny Walker out in the 3rd round and get himself the biggest win of his career. I feel like Johnny Walker, the hype was flying up, and I feel like it's really crashed down. Controlling the chaos might have been the worst thing for him. You tamed the animal, and now you really took away what I think made Johnny Walker so great was his chaos, bringing a wild style. Yeah, he might get hit and knocked out like the Corey Anderson fight. He got destroyed quickly, or he might jump flying knee you in the face and put you out in 15 seconds like he was starting to do to people. I think Jamahal Hill gets the W here. I think he stops Johnny Walker 3 rounds. I could see it going a little longer. I could see it earlier if Walker comes out crazier. I think it's low likelihood Walker somehow lands this crazy knockout shot. Jamahal Hill's stand-up game is nasty. You look at his jiu-jitsu, that's where the biggest question mark lies. But Paul Craig, the man who submitted him and tore that arm up, nasty on the ground. Extremely high-level submissions on the ground. A guy that's so comfortable off of his back. In a striking matchup, Jamahal Hill shines all day, and Johnny Walker is the perfect fight for Jamahal Hill here to ascend and continue working his way up the rankings. Hill's a young guy, 30 years of age. Johnny Walker's young too, 29. But I really think Hill has some serious potential in the light heavyweight division as long as he can improve on a little bit of that awkward submission defense, that you run into a guy like Paul Craig. Granted, Craig's talking about retiring. Other matchups definitely favor Hill. Strikers, I think Hill can work over fairly well. I like Jamahal Hill, win, knockout, round 3. I see him beating Johnny Walker. I wish the odds were closer. Unfortunately, they're not. Best value you're going to find is around -230 for Jamahal Hill. Johnny Walker, the +225 underdog. I am on the Hill side. I'm going KO 3rd round. Overall, UFC Vegas 48 isn't a bad card, even though we unfortunately lost what was such an exciting main event between Rafael Fiziev and Rafael Dos Anjos. Now we see that on the UFC 272 pay-per-view card, and it's still 5 rounds. And I feel like that pay-per-view needed a little extra steam with Covington and Masvidal in that main event. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on. And if you really enjoy the content, share the video as well. Let me know what you guys think of the predictions in the comments. Much love, my people. I appreciate the continued support, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.